Hello, welcome to Ecoholics. Let us today derive the long-run marginal cost curve. The long-run average cost curve is quite popularly asked, but in the recent years, we've also seen the long-run marginal cost curve and its derivation being asked in competitive exams. Let's solve the same. Firstly, what is a long-run marginal cost curve? The long-run marginal cost curve shows the additional cost incurred in the long run when one more unit of output is produced. Mathematically, we can denote this as the change in the total cost caused by one more unit of output. So, delta total cost in the long run divided by change in quantity, or we can just say the first order derivation of total cost with respect to quantity. The same can be shown through a simple U-shaped diagram. This long-run marginal cost curve is derived from the short-run marginal cost curves. It tends to be flatter than the short-run cost curves. Let us now go ahead and derive the same. First of all, what we require are the short-run average cost curves. The short-run average cost curves follow a traditional U-shaped curve. This U-shaped curve tells us that there are different returns to the factor that is being utilized, or different returns when one more unit of output is being produced. Initially, the average cost is decreasing due to increasing returns, and a minimum value is now reached, but due to increasing costs, we see the average cost curve moving upward. The short-run average cost curves, the short-run marginal cost curves, all the cost curves, they will be following this U-shaped diagram. But in the long run, the factors become much more flexible. The firms can decide whether they want to produce the output in only one plant, or they want to go for multi-plant production. So the long-run cost curves are always going to be taken over a longer quantity which is being produced, and also a higher flexibility with respect to inputs which will be utilized for the same. Let us see how we derive the long-run average cost curves, because they are essential whenever we have to derive the long-run marginal cost curves. In the short run, the first plant of a firm will follow the U shape we just discussed. Now, beyond this output, the firm can decide whether it wants to operate on the increasing cost portion of the cost curve, or it wants to operate one more plant. In case it goes for operation of one more plant, we will draw a new short-run average cost curve, which will be marked as SAC2, and here we have SAC1. Similarly, it can go ahead and make more plants. The long-run average cost curve is going to be derived at the points of tangency, or rather we can say that if the firm has decided to go ahead and operate at the decreasing cost portion in the short run of the first plant, and maybe at the minimum portion of this plant showing SAC2, and at the increasing portion of these two other graphs, we join these points of production. These will tell us what will be the long-run average cost curve. Joining the same, we get this. So this is the long-run average cost curve, which is inclusive of all the points of production in the short run, and we have taken all the short run average cost values which were utilized by the plant. So now we know that the long run average cost curve is found out by the firm when it decides whether it goes for single or multiple plants. Therefore, this is also known as the planning curve. It is the curve which is enclosing, or this is tangent to all the short-run cost curves, and the tangency is according to the optimal plant size determined by economies of scale and diseconomies of scale. Now, let us move to long-run marginal cost curve. For finding the long-run marginal cost curve, we will be relying on our old long-run average cost curves. Here, we will find the points of tangency of short-run average cost and long-run average cost and mark the output levels. From here, at the given output, we will mark the value at the short-run marginal cost curve. So please be careful. In the short run, if we do have a average cost curve, we will also have the marginal cost curve, which will be intersecting the average cost at the very minimum, and we are talking about this short-run marginal cost curve. So we will mark the quantity value here and the value of the value of short-run marginal cost. We will be marking all these points and then joining all these points to derive the long-run marginal cost curve. So here we have the theoretical explanation. Let us just draw the same again on a graph. So here we have the first plant having short-run average cost 1 as its curve, and here we have SAC2, the average cost curve of the second plant, and we have SAC3, say the average cost of the third plant in the short run. Here, say the optimal production in the first plant is at the decreasing cost portion, at the second plant at the optimal level or the minimum efficient scale or the minimum value of short-run average cost 2, and in the third plant somewhere on the increasing cost portions. Joining these 3 points of short-run equilibriums, we get the long-run average cost curve. At this quantity, we will be making a small marking. So we have x1, x2, and finally x3. Now, we will incorporate the short-run marginal cost curves. Please remember, short-run marginal costs or any marginal cost will always intersect average cost curves at their minimum point. So for simplicity, we will be marking the minimum points and we will give a U shape to the short-run marginal cost curves. So here we have SMC1 depicting the short-run marginal cost of the first plant. We have SMC2, which is depicting the short-run marginal cost of the second plant. And finally, SMC3, which is depicting the short-run marginal cost of the third plant. Now, we will be utilizing the portions or the quantities that we had marked. The quantity marked X1 was being produced at the marginal cost of this value. So we will be marking it with green here. And here at the quantity X2, the value of short-run marginal cost is again at this point, the convergence of the 2 lines. And here we will extend the quantity upward, and to produce X3, the short-run marginal cost was equivalent to this entire value on the graph. Now, to finally derive the long run marginal cost, we will simply join all these 3 points. And here we have the long run marginal cost curve, which is again following a U-shaped, but it is much flatter than the short-run marginal cost curves. So again, we covered a very important topic, and we can realize that this is a very easy topic. So please subscribe to our channel, like our channel, and share the same, and let us know what else you would like to hear from us. Have a good day.